Daily learning.
My childhood memories. Suddenly, I remember my childhood days when the breeze touched my skin gently. The sunlight and the sky up there remind me of myself back then. A small, curious girl who full of wonder anything happened in the world. I miss those days were filled with laughter, muddy shoes, endless stories, and colorful imaginations. My heart feels warm every time I think of them. The memories are soft like cotton candy, yet strong like the roots of an old tree. Back then, life was simple and slow. I lived in a quiet neighborhood that's surrounded by tall, leafy trees and cheerful houses painted in pastel colors. The streets were calm, with the occasional sound of a bike bell or a barking dog in the distance. Every morning, the air smelled fresh like a mix of morning dew, grass, and something sweet from a neighbor's kitchen. And also, the sky always seemed whiter, the clouds puffier, and the birds sang louder. Maybe it was just me being young, but everything felt more alive. I remember the worn-out swing in our cottage backyard. It creaked when I swung too high, but I loved it anyway. The seat was rough wood, and the ropes were a bit frayed, but it was my spaceship, my time machine, and my magic carpet. I'd swing back and forth, pretending I could fly over rooftops and touch the cotton candy clouds. Sometimes, I'd close my eyes and feel the wind rushing past me, imagining I was flying over mountains and oceans. Our garden was another favorite place. It wasn't big, but to my child eyes, it was a jungle full of secrets. There were colorful flowers blooming in every corner like red roses, yellow sunflowers, and tiny purple ones I didn't know the names of. Butterflies fluttered around lazily, and bees buzzed like tiny helicopters. I spent countless afternoons there, lying on the grass, staring at the sky, dreaming about faraway lands, or making daisy chains with my small, clumsy hands. Meanwhile, inside the cottage, everything had a story. The wooden floors creaked loudly whenever someone walked by, and the old clock in the living room ticked with a comforting rhythm. My bedroom was a small, cozy space filled with stuffed animals, picture books, and drawings stuck to the wall with colorful tape. At night, I'd fall asleep to the sound of crickets outside and my mom humming softly in the kitchen. My mom, I'm gonna be honest to you, she was the warm sun in my world, always gentle and always patiently to me, her only girl who has a bunch of lists that gives her a headache. But after all, she had soft hands that smelled like soap and warm cookies. She'd sit beside me during rainy afternoons, reading me stories or helping me with my schoolwork. And also, she made the best pancakes in the world. It fluffy, golden, and topped with honey or chocolate sprinkles. My dad, on the other hand, was quiet but strong. He'd carry me on his shoulders and call me Little Star. He wasn't home often because of work, but when he was, he brought laughter with him. The school I went to was just down the road. It was a small building with faded blue paint and a big playground. I remember the smell of crayons and glue, the cold metal of the drinking fountain, and the loud ringing of the school bell. My teacher, Mrs. Lonnie, was kind and wore round glasses. She used to give us stickers when we did well, and I collected them on the back of my notebook like treasure. The classrooms were a mix of chaos and learning, kids shouting, chairs scraping, and the occasional chalk squeak on the board. During recess, my friends and I played hide and seek behind the big trees or ran around pretending to be superheroes. The grass would stain our knees green, and our faces would shine with sweat and joy. After that, we'd sit on the pavement, sharing snacks, chips, candies, and sometimes strange food from someone's lunchbox that we were too scared to try. But we laughed. A lot. Everything was funny. Everything was magical. Weekends were even more special. I'd wake up early, even without an alarm, excited for cartoons and sweet cereal. My siblings and I would fight for the remote, and Mom would eventually come in and tell us to go outside. And so we did. We rode bikes, climbed trees, built forts out of blankets and chairs, and played house under the mango tree. The mango tree was tall and wide, and during the summer, it was heavy with juicy, golden fruits. We'd use a long stick to poke them down, and then sit under the shade, eating with sticky fingers and laughing at our own jokes. Sometimes, we visited our grandparents. Their house was old, with squeaky stairs and wooden windows that banged in the wind. Grandma always smelled like lavender and wore soft dresses. She told us stories from her childhood, stories about war, love, and faith. Meanwhile, Grandpa sat quietly with his glasses slipping down his nose, humming old songs and feeding the birds. The air at their place was slower, calmer. It made me feel safe. Rainy days were special in their own way. The sound of raindrops on the roof was like a lullaby in my ears. My siblings and I would sit by the window, watching puddles form and water slide down the glass. Sometimes we danced in the rain, our feet splashing in the mud, and clothes even sticking to our skin. The air smelled earthy, fresh, and a little cold. After that, we'd dry ourselves with big towels, drink hot chocolate, and wrap ourselves in blankets. Those cozy evenings were filled with cartoons, laughter, and sleepy smiles. More than anything, my childhood was filled with emotions. I feel happiness, curiosity, fear, surprise, and wonder. I remember the excitement of birthdays, with colorful balloons and sticky icing on my cheeks. I remember the sadness of losing my first pet, a small goldfish named Bubbles. I cried for hours and held a tiny funeral in the backyard with my sister. I remember feeling brave the first time I rode my bike without training wheels, and the sting of scraped knees when I fell. There were also quiet moments. Moments when I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about space, stars, and what grown-up life would be like. I imagined being an astronaut, a doctor, a writer, or even a superhero. My dreams were big, wild, and beautifully unrealistic. But that's the thing about childhood. It's a time when everything feels possible. The people, the places, the moments, they're all etched in my memory like a painting. Sometimes blurry, sometimes vivid, but always meaningful. I can still remember the warm sand between my toes during our family trips to the beach, the sticky sweetness of ice cream melting too fast, and the thrill of catching fireflies on a dark summer night. Furthermore, I remember how each season brought its own magic. Spring was full of colors and soft winds. Summer was wild, hot, and full of laughter. Autumn, even if it wasn't real autumn in my country, meant cooler winds and playing with fallen leaves. And winter, though we didn't get snow, brought holidays, cozy nights, and endless family stories. Looking back, I realized how fast it all went. Childhood felt endless when I was living it, but now it feels like a beautiful dream I once had. A dream full of soft blankets, magical gardens, gentle people, and innocent hearts. And although time keeps moving forward, and I've grown taller, older, and maybe a little wiser, a part of that child still lives inside me. The part that laughs easily, dreams freely, and believes in magic. Now, whenever I see children playing in the street, or when I walk past my old school, or hear a familiar tune from my past, I feel a tug in my heart. It's like my younger self is saying hello, reminding me not to forget how it felt to be small in a big world, to find joy in the little things, and to love without fear. Therefore, I try to carry those memories with me like a tiny treasure chest I keep inside my heart. I open it when life feels too heavy, and it always lightens the load. My childhood, with all its noise, colors, smells, and feelings, made me who I am today. It taught me to be kind, to imagine, to explore, and most importantly, to feel. And also, it gave me stories. Beautiful, silly, strange stories that I will someday tell my own children. Stories about the magic in everyday things, in the flutter of a butterfly, the taste of mangoes, the creak of a swing, and the warmth of a mother's hug. After all, childhood is not just a time, it's a feeling, a golden, sparkling feeling that lives deep within us. And no matter how far we go, or how old we get, that feeling will always be there, whispering to us softly, like a breeze on a warm afternoon. So today, as I sit here under a sunny sky, with the wind brushing against my face, I close my eyes and smile, because suddenly, I remember my childhood days.